Welcome to Substance Free 02043. I'm your host, Kristen Arute. I'm President and Program Director of Hingham Cares. Our mission is to reduce substance use among youth in our community. We want kids to make healthy choices around drugs and alcohol. To that end, we provide educational programming in the schools, and we bring information to the community about the inherent risks associated with underage substance use. So we're delighted to welcome actor and comedian Lenny Clarke. Lenny has been a fixture on the Boston comedy circuit for decades. He's also done a number of films and television shows. Thank you for being here, Lenny.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for doing this. It's really important, the work you're doing.
Thank you. So you're a pretty famous guy, and yet it was a little bit challenging to find out information about you online. So let me tell you what I know, and then you can fill in the blanks.
Okay.
You were born in Cambridge, graduated from UMass Boston with a degree in political science. In the 80s, you ran for office. You ran for both mayor of Cambridge and Congress before moving to California and focusing on your career in comedy. From there, you became a fixture on the Boston comedy scene. You married your lovely wife, Jennifer, in 1996. Gained a lot of weight, lost a lot of weight, and you've been sober for about 25 years. Congratulations on all of that, by the way.
Thank you so much. That's pretty good. That sums it up pretty damn good.
I think I need to write for Wikipedia because I didn't find all of this on Wikipedia.
Oh, there's some stuff on Wikipedia I'm still trying to get off.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't rely on that exclusively.
Well, thank you.
And since then, you've done a number of films, like There's Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene. And you've done a bunch of TV shows, most notably in the role of Uncle Teddy on the Boston-based show Rescue Me. That ran for 7 seasons?
7 seasons, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Did I miss anything?
No, not at all.
So that's it.
You're doing great.
That's you, in a nutshell.
That's it.
So in the field of prevention and recovery, we talk about ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences. Mm-hmm. And they're used as sort of a metric, a way to identify potential vulnerability in kids. The thinking is that the more stressors there are in a child's life, the more inclined they might be to turn to substances at some point in the future. Was this your experience growing up? Is that how you ended up using substances? Or, give us your backstory before your recovery journey.
Okay. It started hanging around the playground. All the older kids would be playing basketball and they'd be drinking beers, and if they needed someone to fill in, the sub, and I was a pretty tall kid, so I would sub, and I'd get in and play, and then they'd give me a beer, and it started simple as that. then it became a thing about people asking people to buy beer for us. That was a big thing. Hey, will you buy us beer? We were getting like homeless people to go into liquor stores and buy us beers. Wow. And we'd buy them a bottle, you know what I mean? So it was a win-win. Then later on, we started smoking grass. And what kills me today is people always said grass was a gateway drug. And I'd say, oh, you're so full of crap. Well, I was wrong again because grass was a gateway drug for me to coke and the pills and the methadone and heroin and everything that you could imagine. I did, and I was a very naughty boy, and through the grace of God and the help of some wonderful people, I managed to come out of it. Because a lot of us, I like to relate it to a lot of us jumped out of the plane, but not everyone pulled the chute. A lot of my friends are dead, and
as a result of substance use?
As a result of substance abuse, alcohol, drug, yeah.
Wow.
And self-inflicted wounds, when I speak with kids today, children, kids, whatever they want to be called, because I don't like to put labels on anybody, but when I say, look, when we used to get high, we got high to get high. Today, you're getting high to die. There's this thing called fentanyl, and unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard about it. They put it in everything.
Right.
And sometimes just even being near it can kill you. Mm-hmm. Now, I have a lot of friends of mine who are first responders who say, Lenny, we brought a kid back to life the other night. The first thing is, what are you doing? You ruined my high. And they say, we saved your life. I don't give you. So
that's the power of addiction.
I think today, kids are more vulnerable today because of the internet, because of TikTok and all these things that can show you where to get it, or it's not just peer pressure amongst your friends. It's peer pressure being home on a computer. I mean, it's out of control.
It's accessibility.
Accessibility and no one's really taking responsibility. You know, I mean, everyone. We all know kids are going to experiment. I did. We all did, and that's part of growing up. That's part of life. But if I can save just one kid, just one, to go through the hell and the horrors that I went through, then I've done something right with my life. And I clown around. I'm a comedian. I make people up, but I take my sobriety very, very serious, because without my sobriety, I would have nothing. I mean that sincerely. So, you know, if you're thinking about experimenting, do more research before you experiment. At least give yourself the chance to have a chance. I mean, you can do drugs one time and die.
Right.
You know, there's no rhyme or reason. You could do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everything's fine. Thursday, you're dead. Same drug dealer, same thing. It's a hit or miss.
Right. So when did things get out of control for you? When did you start to recognize that maybe I have a problem here? Or did you ever get to that point?
Oh, God, yeah. When I was getting drunk and disappointing my parents, that's when I said, this is not good. You know, because my parents...
How old were you at that point, approximately?
15, 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started drinking young. You know, I started drinking beers at 13, smoking grass at maybe 14. I did coke at maybe 18. You know, heroin at a much later time in life, but I never injected it. You know, I smoked it, I chewed it. You know, I put it on cereal. I mean, but I wasn't not a needle guy. You know? And my mother begged me, please don't do the pills. I know you're going to be in show business. Please don't do the pills. So I did coke and blow and heroin, and I thought it was mama's little boy because I didn't do the pills.
No kidding.
And later in life, I was taking pills. They said, this will keep you high for 10 hours. 10 hours? Take a pill, you can be high for 10 hours? Of course, that wears off, you know, and then you need more and more and more. And it's a vicious cycle. And I must point out, whatever we discuss from this point on, I don't want anyone to think I'm glamorizing the getting high at all, because I went on one podcast and millions of hits, and one stood out to me. Lenny Clarke shouldn't be glamorizing the fact that he was getting high, and I go, I was at the Playboy Mansion. I was surrounded by beautiful models and showgirls. To me, that was pretty romantic. Granted, it's bad, but I mean, I'm not romanticized. I'm just telling you what it was all about.
It's the facts.
It's the fact. And, you know, people say to me, I talk to a lot of successful friends, and I have many, many successful friends. And I say to them, would you change anything? And 9 out of 10 of them will say, no, I wouldn't change a thing. They said, Lenny, what would you change? I said, everything. I would change everything. And they said, well, you may not be where you are. And I said, no, but I might be farther along. I may be farther ahead, because I made a lot of foolish mistakes with the drugs. People always say, the drugs and the booze, do you ever see any really successful people? And you may, you know, but that's just the part of them that you're seeing. We don't know what their life is like. We don't know what their inner workings. We don't know what their health. We don't know anything, you know.
Right.
So take care of yourself and pay more attention to yourself. It's like when they say when the oxygen mask comes down in the plane and they say, put yours on first. And I was always one, well, no, I help the kids first. If you don't put yours on and you're unconscious, you can't help the kids.
Right.
So take care of yourself. You know, put the mask on first and then help the others.
Great analogy. I love that analogy. So some people say that they had an aha moment that was defining for them. Others say they were just sick and tired of always feeling sick and tired. Was there a moment for you? You said that there were several moments where you realized, okay, I got to get clean. I got to get clean. I got to get clean. What was that final shift for you? What brought that about?
Probably the disappointment I saw in my wife's face. You know, I mean, like I said early on how I hated to disappoint my parents. And I come from a family of 8 kids, and we all love each other very much. And I hate, like, I'm not even going to use the word hate. It hurts me, it pains me so bad when I see a look of disappointment in the eyes of people that I care for and respect and love. Mm-hmm. And my wife said to me, she said, Lenny, I love you when you're drinking, and I love you when you're not drinking. But you seem a lot happier when you're not drinking. Hmm. And that hit me like a sledgehammer. And I was shooting a movie, and I just murdered 2 men in the film. And this young kid came over to me, and they said, that's a wrap on Lenny Clarke. And I had got a bottle of whiskey and a bag of cocaine and a bag of grass and a 6-pack of beer. And they said, are you happy, Lenny? I said, I'm really happy. He said, you want to get more happy? I said, you don't scare me. He said, we'll pick you up at 6 in the morning. I said, okay. So I grabbed a buddy of mine, a childhood buddy of mine, and we went out bar hopping, and we were drinking all around town. And we went back to the hotel, and we were still doing drugs. As I knock on the door, my buddy goes, who was that? And I go, some friends of mine, don't worry about it. And they said, are you ready? I said, I'm ready. And my friend said, I can't leave the room, I'm too high. I said, it's okay. So I left some cocaine for him, and I grabbed some, and I left. I went with these guys. We got in a van, and we drove to St. Bridget's in South Boston, and we went into the cellar of this church, and I thought it was a rave. I thought it was a rave party. We were all going to get whacked out, and imagine all these people. Wow, look, this is going to be great. And they said, sit down, and it was an AA meeting.
No kidding.
And I said, oh my God. And they said, just listen. And I said, you want to do a bump? No, just listen. And halfway through, I said, wow, that was pretty powerful. And they go, we want to go have a drink now? And they go, no, that's just the first half. You got to stay. You got to stay for the second half. So I stayed for the second half, and they said, what do you think? And I said, I want what you people have. I want this. So they took me back to the hotel. I gave whatever cocaine I left to my maid. My room was the cleanest room in the hotel for the next couple of days. And I left, and I've been sober ever since. That was March 8th, 1997.
No kidding.
So, yeah, I was kind of tricked into it. You know, I didn't know I was going, but
it worked.
It worked, and I thank God. And I still have my same sponsor today. You know, and I like to tell people that are listening or watching, you don't have to do it by yourself. I could not do it by myself. You know, there's a phrase we use it. We do for each other what we could not do for ourselves. I had a guy who would come to my house, knock on my door. My mother goes, he's upstairs, Phil. And he would come up and go, let's go. I said, where are you going? We're going to a meeting. I said, I'm going to meet. We went to one yesterday. He says, can't stay clean on yesterday's shower. Let's go. This guy would not let me go. He cared about me so much. He loved me so much that he would not let me go. And I went to meeting, and you know, I mean, you don't have to do it my way. You can do it any way you want. But the big thing is you do it. Ask somebody for help, because there are so many people out there just waiting to help you. And a lot of people are afraid to ask you for help because you may take it wrong, you may be offended. But if you're ready to change your life, if you're ready to save your life, you know, reach out, because there are more good people than you'd ever imagine.
So what does that say about the role that these individuals played in your life and the potential role that others can play in their loved ones' lives? So you weren't offended by them taking you to a meeting, basically hijacking you and taking you to a meeting. That didn't offend you.
No.
It might offend somebody else.
Oh,
so
yeah.
What kind of advice do you have in a situation like that?
You've got to be ready. You've got to want. It's like you mentioned. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Mm-hmm. It's affecting your job. It's affecting your relationships. It's affecting your everyday life. Me, I was a blackout drinker. And for those of you who don't know what a blackout drinker is, the minute I got enough booze in me, that was it. I was off the chain and out of the yard. I had no control of anything I did, and I didn't remember that. And people would say, you know what you did last night? And I go, no. And they go, oh my God, I did that. And I would spend most of my waking hours apologizing to people. I'd be apologizing to strangers in the street. They go, what are you apologizing to me for? Oh, don't get around to you. I mean, it was just so bad.
And was this a daily occurrence?
Daily occurrence. I blacked out everything because I drank for the effect. I didn't drink to be suave. I mean, let's get whacked out. Yeah. You know, I was like a crazy college frat kid, you know what I mean? And people would say to me in the throes of my illness, they would say, are you okay? You know, because I mean, at one point, I was 380 pounds, doing cocaine and eating subs and washing them down with 6 packs of beer. I mean, people were waiting for me to explode, you know.
Wow.
And people, nice people, really did care. They said, Lenny, maybe you ought to slow down. And people say, Lenny, you have a really bad problem. I said, how can I have a problem? I still have money, you know. And then, of course, the money
was
would
that
run out,
level of
too.
denial.
Oh, yeah. The level of denial was incredible. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I surrender. I surrendered. The booze is the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. No one can beat the booze. I don't care who it is. You look them up. Look up, see if anyone, you know, no one's ever beat the booze. They may taper the booze. They may try to drink safely. They might try to, you know, pull a geographic and go someplace else beyond the beach. I'll only have a glass of wine on the beach. No. No one beats the booze. The booze is undefeated. And unfortunately, the booze for me led to other things. Led to the grass, led to the coke, led to the heroin, led to all sorts of pills and drugs. I mean, it'd be nice. I'd be doing things that I didn't know what they were. People have a handful of pills. Hey, what are those? He said, I don't know. Well, let me take them. I was like an experiment. You know, people didn't know. If they didn't know what a drug was, give it to Lenny. You'll find out. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like a really happy drunk. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people. But later on, like I remember my mother said to me, she said, what, Leonard, why do you drink? And I said, because I'm depressed. She said, booze is a depressant, you stupid ass. Don't drink, please don't drink. And on my mother's deathbed, I remember her saying, listen, Leonard, when you stop drinking, all my prayers were answered. You know, just don't drink. I said, well, I'll quit the cigars. She said, I don't give a shit about the cigars, but just don't drink. And so, like, I made, like, a deathbed promise to my mother, but I had been sober for probably 20 years, you know, before that, before she passed. And it was nice because I remember my mother saying, she was speaking at a group, and she said, I don't know what you've done with my son, but I cannot begin to thank you because he is one of the most generous boys you'll ever meet. He sent me to Europe several times. He rebuilt my house. He's taken care of me and the rest of the family when his father passed away. But when he drinks, Leonard, you are an obnoxious asshole. And I will take that to my grave. Remember my mother saying that. And I said, wow, you know, and
well, talk about feeling like you've disappointed her. Those words must have kind of stabbed you in the heart.
Gutted me.
Yeah.
Gutted me. Because there was a woman I loved the most, more than anything in the world. You know, my mama's boy. So I don't care. I just wanted to take care of her. I wanted to, like, Mom, let me buy you a car. She said, I don't drive. You know, let me fix up the house. I under death, I said, how many times have you been to Vegas? 18 times. You know, every time I was in Vegas, I'd fly her out to see me in Vegas. And, you know, and I'd take her places. And, you know, she loved that I did charity work. You know, she said, when you do charity work, that makes me so proud of you, you know. And I said, okay, you know, because everything good about me came from my mother and father. Everything bad came from alcohol and drugs. And I feel blessed. I'm not lucky. I'm blessed that I don't have the need or the obsession for a drink today. Because it wasn't easy. Not everyone can stop drinking. Because if they could, they probably would. And I'm not judging anybody. If you're one of those people that can have a glass of wine at dinner and, you know, be about your business and enjoy the grapes from all around the world and, you know, and the finest of liqueurs and everything, good, that's good for you. I can't. I am not I don't fall into that category. I am a nitwit when it comes to booze and drugs. And I pray every day, and that I don't have a slip, I don't go back. And for you people now, when you heard me say I pray, you know me as a lunatic, certifiably insane. However, this isn't required for you. You don't have to pray. You don't have to do whatever you want. Because I used to pray. I'd go to church, pray, please, 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 God, don't let me do this again. Don't let me. And then that night I'd be out, whacked out of my mind. It doesn't work that way. It works when you have people show you the way, you know, and people would love to show you the way. Because when I see someone, and I say, hey, how you doing? I haven't had a drink in a month. I go, yay! You know, it's such, I get excited for you, you know? And so don't think this is no holy roller type thing. I'm going through a physical, emotional, spiritual journey right now. And how much of it left in my life, I don't know. But my goal is to do it sober. And I shoot for midnight every day. You know, a day at a time, So you can use whatever being or non-being, you can use a refrigerator, a dog, whatever you want as your higher power. But there is a higher power than you know, because you've tried it your way. How's that working out for you? You know? So at least you're an intelligent person. You wouldn't be watching this if you weren't. Give yourself a chance. You deserve a chance. Help other people help you.
Does addiction run in your family?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
My dad was a raving alcoholic, and he promised my mother if she married him, he would never drink again. And there was some...
Did he keep that promise?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
He did. I made the same promise to my first wife. Didn't make it through the first weekend. So I'm not half the dad. I'm not half the man my dad was. Although this marriage that I'm in, I call it my last marriage. I haven't drank in 25. It will be 26 years in March 8th, God willing. You know.
Very nice. Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So there's been a lot of research about the teen brain, the developing brain, mm-hmm. and how vulnerable the brain is to basically anything, you know, any kind of substance, any kind of conditioning. Mm. Do you think that played a role in the issues that you had later in life, starting to use substances at a younger age? Do you think that if you hadn't, that maybe you wouldn't have struggled as much? I realize I'm asking a hypothetical question here.
No, it's plain as day to me. No, you're absolutely right. Before I got into booze and drugs, I had a photographic memory. I was one of those people who had a photographic memory. And I was incredible at remembering names. I can remember everyone's names. As a matter of fact, so much so that Tip O'Neill once offered me a job, 50 years, to stand next to him and tell him the people who were coming up to him, their names.
No kidding.
Yeah, and that was,
wow.
And I said, Tip, I'll do whatever you want, but I want to be on TV. Can you get me on Merv Griffin? Because I had seen him on Merv Griffin. And I love Tip O'Neill. I love his whole family. But before the booze and drugs, I had a photographic memory, but I'm dyslexic. And back in school, when I was dyslexic, they didn't have a term for that. They didn't know what dyslexia was 50 years ago. You know, right. They just said, the boy ain't right, you know. So the juxtaposition of the words would not come out in scripts. And after years of booze and drug abuse, when I finally got to the point in my life where I was reading scripts, it got much, much harder for me. And I have a process now when I'm working on a script that I take it and I cut it up into scenes and I put it on cardboard, and I carry cardboard with me everywhere I go. So I'm memorizing 24 hours a day. I have to, in order to get it done.
Here's another somewhat hypothetical question, but excuse me. Do you think that your substance use issues would have been as exacerbated if you hadn't pursued the career that you chose? Were you around substances more because of your line of work?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, I was working in bar rooms, and I was traveling with drug dealers. I mean, they love to laugh. But yeah, had I been like a regular 9-to-5 guy working, I would have been I probably would have been an alcoholic. But had I been able to get a job, like an electrician or a plumber or something like that, I would have. I just had no skills. I had no skills whatsoever. And comedy started out as a joke, and 50 years later, it's given me an incredible career and an incredible life. And I would, between me and you, I sometimes I think, I would like to take a shot at it, had I done it the right way, because pretty much everything I did was the wrong way, I mean, this cancel culture and this woke and all this stuff, my good God almighty, 40 years ago, I'd be doing time. I'd be in jail right now, And if I was a young kid coming up, I think I would rebel and really stand out, because I wouldn't stand for it, because when I was coming up, whatever rules there were, I broke. Now, the drugs and the booze fueled that rebellion. And I made a lot of mistakes, cost myself a lot of money. But, I think I definitely think it affected me, and it has hurt me much more than helped me.
That's a great, honest answer. I appreciate that. So on Wednesday, April 12th at 6 o'clock, you're headlining a fundraiser for the Edwina Martin House, which is a home for women in recovery.
Yes.
And could you tell us a little bit about that, and also some of the other work that you do in the field? You talked about some of the fundraising and volunteer work that you do.
Okay. I do a lot of charity work. And the key thing there is charity. A lot of young kids come up to me and they say, how do you get on TV all the time? How come you're always on TV? How come you're always in the newspaper? And I said, well, I do a lot of charity work. And they said, what's that pay? And I went, it pays nothing. You're missing the point. It's charity. I mean, if I'm on the vineyard, they may send a plane to fly me up to get me to where I'm going and put me in a hotel to stay, but I'll raise them millions and millions of dollars. I myself have fortunately raised over $3 million, $1 million on 3 different occasions at certain events.
Wow.
Yeah, and I get really into it. I mean, I am like the world's craziest auctioneer. I pit people against each other, and they're drunk, and they go, I did what? What did I buy? This great. But I was, there was a fellow named Brian McLaughlin. He runs the Genesis Fund. He started it with Dr. Murray Feingold, and he used to own all the Subway sandwich shops. And I was at one of his events, and he asked me if I'd get up and do the auction. I said, Brian, I've never done the auction. He said, you'll be great. Just get up and do it. And we broke a record that night, raised the money. He said, see, I told you you could do it. Now you got to do it again. So I do it. I did it. And I've traveled all around the world doing auctions for people, raising money. And I love it. I really do love it. But when I raise money for kids, that's what really made my mom and dad happy. They would be so proud of me, So I do the Children's Hospital, Mass General Children's Hospital, the Boston Hospital. I mean, I say yes more than I say no. I only say no because I'm probably booked at something else. Mm-hmm. I mean, I took up charity golf to meet Bobby Orr. That's all. I just wanted to meet Bobby Orr. I never golfed in my life. I said, okay. So I played 14 charity events before I'm in the 14th event. I made Lenny, Bobby's here. I said, he's here. So I left my foursome and I took up, where you going? I'm going to meet Bobby Orr. I'll be back. I'm going, Bobby Orr, Bobby freaking Orr, Bobby. And he goes, Lenny freaking Clarke. I goes, you know me? He goes, yeah, I've been dying to meet you. You've been dying to meet me. I've been dying to meet you. He goes, well, we gotta stop. I said, why? I said, something. I said, he says, no, we were on the first hole and they were hitting into us. So he said, we'll have dinner later. And we've been friends ever since. But he said, do it. Do as much charity as you can. He said, do it out of the goodness of your heart. Mm-hmm. And that's what I try to tell people, I believe I owe something to give back to people that need help, whether it be kids or families. You can have fun doing these events, you know what I mean? It's not something I dread, you know what I mean? I go and I try to meet people, and it's so weird. I try to be open and friendly and handshaking and hugging and everything, because I mean it. I'm here. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to be there. I'm just not there, I got to be here. It's some contractual obligation. No, I'm there because I want to be. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like now, ever since COVID, I always ask them, can I hug you or can I shake your hand? Because I don't want to, you know, some people, and that hurts me. I go, oh man, I got to remember. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So I always ask our guests 2 questions.
Okay.
And one is, what advice would you give to parents, caregivers, adults in terms of keeping kids safe and healthy around substances?
Be in their life. You know, I know how hard it is. I know what you're doing. You're working. Your husband's working. Your wife is working. You're doing everything you can just to make the bills. You're doing everything for the betterment of your kids. And I know there's no way around that, but try to be in their life as much as you can. I adored my parents. All I wanted to do was, you know, I couldn't wait till my father said, "Do you want to go, Dad? Want to help Dad?" Yeah, you know. He'd say, "You're horrible. Let's go help your mother." I'll never forget that. But just let them know you're there for them. Let them know they can talk to you. Let them know you're not gonna yell at them. They can tell you anything, because, you know, sometimes that's all it takes. Just that little, you know, it's all right. Whatever you're going through, share with me, and I'll help you. And I mean, I think most every parent. You know, I'm not a parent myself. The government won't let me have kids, but I think most every parent feels that way anyway. And you know, it's hard sometimes because they are kids, you know. But let them know that they can talk to you, and you'll take care of them.
That's great advice. I know it can be difficult, especially dealing with teenagers.
Oh, God.
You don't know how to read them. You don't know. I mean, they can be put off if you ask a question.
I'm embarrassed by you, Uncle Lenny. I go, well, Uncle Lenny's just going to get a little bit louder.
But staying involved, staying active, staying tuned in, that's all really great advice.
Be there for them. Even when,
present.
I used to call my mother 10, 12 times a day. She said, "Leonard, stop calling me. You're ruining my programs," you know. But, you know, and there was when my parents passed, I can honestly say, thanks to sobriety, there was no unfinished business.
That's great.
I used to kiss my mother and my father on the face every day. My father goes, "What is wrong with you? Kiss your mother." But it was like, they knew I loved them, and I certainly felt loved by them. So, yeah, so just let the kids know that you're there for them. You know.
And then by the same token, what advice would you have for kids on how to stay safe around substances? And you've already kind of touched on this a little bit at the beginning of the interview. You offered up some advice about making safe and healthy choices. How would you encapsulate that into a little message?
If you feel like you want to try drugs, do as much research, do more research on the drugs than hunting the drug down. Because look at all the people in your life that you look up to. Look at all the people that you think you might want to be. You know, a lot of young kids look to actors or sports celebrities, or, you know, most of them aren't on drugs. You have to have a keen eye, a cool mind. You gotta realize everything you do has a consequence. You may just want to dabble. You may just want to try it. Well, unfortunately, at this time in our life, dabbling or even just trying it once, you could die. It happens.
Right.
Read the papers, watch the news. A lot of these kids that are dying, the overdoses, they didn't want to overdose. They didn't want to end their life. It was what was in whatever they took. Now, I mean, a beer isn't going to kill you, but I mean, you know, don't get hooked. And, you know, that's not good either. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even say moderation now, because there is so much. Fentanyl is in everything. And that's why people are asking people like me to reach out to you. It may seem like a great time, but as a dear friend of mine said, play the tape all the way through, and you'll see at the end you'll be devastated. Don't take the chance. Don't take your chance. Life is tough, man. I'm not, life is beautiful. It's a bowl of sunshine. It's a unicorn. No, life is tough. Don't make it tougher on yourself. Just try to make it through the day. Shoot for midnight, and don't hurt you. Don't be a self-inflicted wound. Don't take your life by accident. If you're gonna try drugs, be at a hospital, for Christ's sakes. I do more drugs now than I did when I was out there, but none of them get me high. They just keep me alive. Another downside of doing so many drugs. Don't do drugs. I mean, you have so much to offer yourself. Think about yourself, because only you can be you. My mother told me that. And I said, really? She said, yeah, thank God, because we don't want another one of you. But only be yourself and just try to make it through the day. That's all, just today.
That's great. That's fantastic. Thank you. So I have a little lightning round to go through. These are yes or no questions.
Okay.
And I'm just going to fire them off at you, and you respond as you see fit.
Yep.
You've had an illustrious career. Do you think that you would still be popular if you didn't have the accent?
Yes.
We recently interviewed Steve Sweeney, who's been dubbed the legendary king of Boston comedy. Do you believe that you are more deserving of that title?
Absolutely not. Steve is definitely the king.
Would you ever run for office again?
Never.
Is your wife better at fishing than you are?
Oh, God, yes. She's a monster.
And lastly, you've traveled all over the country and all over the world. Is there a better city than Boston?
No.
Good answer. Lenny, thank you so much for being our guest today. This has been terrific.
Oh,
really appreciate you taking the time.
Listen, if we can help one kid, if we can just help one, but I think we can help more. And you guys, if you see your friends struggling, be a real friend. Put an arm around them, say, man, let's do something. Go to a movie, do something. Just try not to do this stuff. This stuff's not what you want.
That's great. Thank you for joining Substance Free 02043. I'm your host, Kristen DeRoot, and I hope that you will join us again.